Hey guys, how's it going? This is Mike from M&R Automotive. Today we have the Hummer EV and we've installed a dual function 60-inch Pro Series light bar. It offers amber DRL and with the hit of a switch, powerful white light. So these are the mounts that you get with the M&R kit for the 60-inch. You do get two base plates to offset the indent of the roof line, and then the brackets actually go on top of it. The passenger side has a waterproof gland here. That's for the wire of the light bar. And then the driver's side doesn't. So that's how you can distinguish the driver versus passenger side. So this is the passenger and this is the driver. First thing we're gonna do is remove the accessory cover caps. It's a T40, and then these just come off. Sometimes they're glued, so you might wanna use a flathead. And we're going to put this aside. We're going to be replacing them with the M&R version of the same. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the passenger side. Now we're installing the base plate first. So notice on the bottom of the base plate there's a rubber grommet. What it does, it provides a watertight seal for all the top holes here. So we're going to lay this in, use supplied hardware to attach the bracket to the truck. Now I'm going to tighten it, but I'm not going to tighten it all the way. And the reason I'm not doing that is because I want to have the light bar in between the two mounts, and then so that way we'll know the actual position and we'll be able to make all the final tie downs after we install the light bar. So it's going to be like this. Okay, excellent. And we're going to do the same thing on the passenger side. On the passenger side, we do have a nut on the bottom of the waterproof gland. Just got to align it with a cutout of the bottom plate. And then we're going to go ahead and reinstall it the same way we did on the driver's side. Now that both the brackets are installed, let's go ahead and get the light bar and thread it in the mounts. Now that we're getting the light bar on, you might need somebody's help to hold it on the other end. One, two. Okay, let me go tighten the other side. So now that the light bar bolts from the sides are good, we're going to go ahead and tighten the main bolt that holds the light bar bracket to the truck. Awesome. Now it's mounted, let's get to the wiring. So now we're getting ready the pathway for our wiring. We got to remove a couple of trim pieces along the way, visor, handle, and this piece in order to be able to drop our wire underneath all this and run it down. So now I'm going to remove this panel. I like to use a pick. Just pick it on the side, get this trim piece off. Now the next one is this long one. Same thing, you just pull it from the top down and it removes. For the door handle, we're going to have to remove these two trim pieces. Get your pick or a screwdriver underneath. Take this out. And these are just held on clips. And then we have to remove these two bolts with a 10mm screw. And then when we take these two screws out, don't pull on this too hard because there's a speaker in here and you have to unclip it. So I'm just going to pull on it a little bit just to break it loose and then unclip the speaker wire from the back. So now that we pull this back, there's a red and black speaker wire and there's a plug here. So we're going to go ahead and wiggle this thing out. And then, and there's a red tab. You push the tab down, pull this back, press it, and release it. I want to remove the top cap. So we're gonna get a pick or a screwdriver, kind of get it in here and just press up. It's just held on clips. Unclip the front end, we're gonna leave it open because when the light bar wires are gonna be around the A-pillar, there's an opening here, and the only way you can route it is if you can take this cover unclipped. So this is the hole, and it's gonna come out from here. The last thing we remove before we pass through the wire is the visor. So it is held only on 3 bolts, so we're gonna take the top cover off just with a pick or a screwdriver. And there's 3 Torx screws, and it's T10. I'm gonna go ahead and remove those. I'm gonna hold the visor with my thumb just to leverage it. You remove the bolt, and just tug on it a little bit, it's gonna unclip, and it's gonna come down. There is no plug, so we're just gonna leave it resting here. So in order to peel this back, there's 2 push pins on top. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna remove them. Use a flathead screwdriver or a pin. And now we can actually pull this back so that way we can see where the wires are coming out from our waterproof gland. So let's go and pass some wire through this. Now let's put the wire through the waterproof gland. What you want to do is remove the cap, because this is the thing that's going to tighten everything together. And then we're also going to remove this, which is a rubber grommet as well as a compression ring. And it's going to go with the cap. So we're going to feed the wires through here. And you're going to want to bring this up all the way to the front. This is rubber on rubber, so it gets a little stuck. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is feed this wire now through the metal opening. We're going to fish the wire through the opening, and we're going to guide it with our finger to bring it down. Actually push the wire to the right, because if we push it out to the right, it's going to go down the A-pillar. So you can see from the gland we went straight down and we went to the side, and now I'm getting this wire out here, which is exactly what I want to do. And we're going to run it down the channel. So now let me show you how to assemble the gland. So there's the first piece, which is that rubber insert, and goes all the way down. Then on top of it, we're going to install the O-ring, the compression ring, and then afterwards is going to be this the nut. So now I'm going to go ahead and tighten this nut, and that's going to compress the wire inside and make a waterproof seal. Perfect. So let's go ahead and route that wire to the auxiliary switches. So when we peel back the top of the speaker cover, you can see there's an opening here, and that's where we're going to thread our wire. So I'm going to go ahead and insert it, and I'm going to use my fingers to guide it, and it'll come out on the other end. And as I'm pushing it down, you want to use your fingers so that way it comes out on this end. There it goes. And this is me pushing the wire through here. So now this wire is going to get, I'm going to get rid of all the slack. And now what we're going to do with this wire, we're going to take it into the engine bay through this opening. The grommet cover that we removed, we're going to actually feed through the wire. I made a little hole, used scissors, and so that way we can reinsert it, the cover, before we route our wires in the front. Now I'm going to feed the wires to the front area through this channel here. The light bar wire has 3 wires. It has the red, which is the positive for the main white light. It has the black wire, which is the ground, and it has a white wire, which is the power wire for the amber DRL. We can connect it to either factory auxiliary switches, so that way you can control it on the display, or you can install it using a wireless wiring harness that M&R sells in their store. So this is a factory Hummer EV on-screen control module. It does have a plug. So first thing I want to do is actually disconnect this plug. I'm going to pull this back. Now that we got this red tab out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and press on it so that way I can remove the socket. If you take a look at the back of this plug, because there's already a hood mount kit installed on this Hummer EV, switch number 1 is already taken. And the way this plug works is, this is switch number 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it goes back from 5, 6, 7, 8. We already have switch number 1 taken, so we'll probably end up using 2 and 4 for the powerful white light and amber DRL. Those are the 2 power sources. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop these silicone protective pieces out. So we're gonna put pins on the red and the white wire, so that way we can plug it into the socket. So before we connect the wiring into the socket, we do have to pin them. But mainly it allows you to put a pin on your wire, so that way when you plug it into the socket, you can see there's one already in there, and you'll need to add them for every accessory that you connect. So right now there's one. We're gonna put one on this slot for switch number 2, and the last slot, which is switch number 4. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a crimp on the red and white wire. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the wire here. You can use pliers or a crimping tool just to press this in. What it does, it provides contact between the wire And now we can stick this into the plug from the back side, and it'll come out as a pin on the inside that plugs it directly into the module. And we'll do the same thing for the white wire. This looks good. Now we can go ahead and put it in the pin. With the powerful white light, we're going to go ahead and put it in pin number 2, and then the amber DRL, we'll put it on pin number 4. And I'm going to pull it in through the inside. Okay, that's good. And then we're going to do switch number 4, and same thing, pull the pin through, pushing it in an appropriate slot here. So switch 2, switch 4, and then when you see it peaking, I grab it with needle noses and just pull it through so that way it locks in place. So the last thing we have to do is just put a ground here and then plug this back and put the fuses and the relay into the box, and then we're all done. So one thing I want to do, I want to actually get the ground wire out of this bundle. So I'll just take the sheeting, slide it, so that way we can pull the ground and ground it on the chassis of the vehicle or the battery. So I am going to put an eyelet on it, and with my crimping tool, I've created a good ground. We can actually use any of these bolts as a ground. Slide my eyelet on this bolt and reinsert it. Okay, perfect. So now to summarize everything, we've installed pin number 2 and pin number 4 into the socket, and we have connected the ground. Now we're ready to connect the plug back and then move this red slot to lock it in place like that. The next step is to take off the cover from the distribution box, so that way we can install the relay and the fuse for the circuits that we're using. So there are 2 tabs. If you squeeze them on the sides, you can just pull up, and then I'll take off the main cover. We already have one relay for switch number 1, and they already have one fuse. We're going to go ahead and add a second relay for switch number 2, and then we're going to add a third relay for switch number 4, and you have to do it for every switch that you're using. So we skipped 3, so we're going to go ahead 2 and 4. So now that the relays are in, now we have to add 2 fuses. For switch number 2, which is going to control the white function of our light bar, I'm going to use a 20 amp fuse, and I'm just going to go ahead and stick it in the slot, and I'm going to put a 10 amp for button number 4. We're going to throw a 20 amp for the white function of the light bar, and we're going to put a 10 amp for the amber DRL because it doesn't have that much draw. So let's go ahead and test it using our interior controls. I'm going to go ahead and click the little Hummer EV button, and then I'm going to click on auxiliaries. Auxiliary 2 we're going to use for the powerful white light of the light bar. So there's a little edit button here. You can press auxiliary 2 and you can change them. So for example, I think this looks like a light bar. Alright, and then for switch number 4, we're actually going to go ahead and this is the DRL. For DRL, I'm just going to use this. So now that we've wired everything up, let's go ahead and test it. So we wired the amber DRL on one switch, and then we wired the powerful white light. Thank you guys for watching, and I know you're going to love the product.